The average home has over 2,000 lineal feet of cracks and gaps. That means there's a substantial amount of air infiltration in walls. Now, the state of California offers an energy credit for properly wrapped homes. With me is Mark Aronachek, who's a weatherization specialist. And Mark, I understand to get this credit for the state, there was some substantial research that was done that is the basis for the California credit for house wraps.
That's correct, Steve. We took 8 homes and did blower door testing on those 8 homes. 4 of them were wrapped with a house wrap and the others were not. Our research showed an average reduction in air infiltration of 13%.
Now, what type of homes did you test? Were they 1-story or 2-story? Were they stucco?
We had a mix of 1- and 2-story homes. All of them were stucco. We used a 1-step stucco system that has a 1-inch rigid foam insulation over top of sheeting. Then the stucco netting's applied, and then the stucco's applied over top of that.
And what were the savings that you found?
We found an average reduction in air infiltration of 13%, which is a substantial savings.
Well, you would think that that type of construction would be pretty tight.
That's what we were told. It would be pretty tight, but 13% reduction in air infiltration is pretty significant. And one of the things I think is very important to note is that even though we tightened up the homes, they were still well above the minimum standard for air exchange rates.
So we weren't making the homes too tight.
That is correct.
Just stopping the air infiltration through the walls, which is where you want to stop. Now, it's important that you install a home wrap right in order, number 1, to get the credit, and 2, to get the performance. So tell me a little bit about what your tips are for installing a wrap correctly.
Well, Steve, it's easiest to start at a corner, and you want to start rolling the product out and go as far as you can without cutting the product, only cutting for penetrations like windows or pipes that might come out through the wall or electrical outlets. You want to start at the sill plate, make sure that there's a little bit of an overlap there, and run the product up as high as you can. If it doesn't go all the way to the top plate, you apply that course next so that you have proper shingling of the product.
So if any water gets in behind the wall system, it can drain out, not funnel water into the wall.
That is correct. So we run the product out as far as we can. We staple it off. We just need enough fasteners to hold the product in place. You don't have to put a bazillion staples into the product.
And you could use wrap cap type fasteners too.
They actually do a better job, or a large headed nail. Those types of fasteners don't go up as quickly, but they actually perform much better in the wall system. And then what also is important is that once you cut out for the windows, that we want to tape around where we've cut out. If we stop the roll on a vertical seam,
like right
we
here,
want to overlap that at least 1 stud bay width. When we overlap from the top coming down where we're putting a second course on, we want to make sure we have a minimum of a 6-inch overlap. And then we also want to tape around penetrations like what we have here with this faucet coming out through the wall.
Tape stick's pretty good.
Yeah, we slid it all the way down to the footing so it was easier to manipulate around that faucet. And then we went back in and taped it, and that's a very good weather-resistant seam and also a great seam for air infiltration. Then lastly, we tape at the footing so that there's a seal between the footing and the sill plate area there, because the sill plate area is one of the leakiest parts of the house. So we make sure that we tape at the sill plate, we tape at the top plate, and that seals up the wall very tightly.
Well, Mark, thanks a lot for being here.
Steve, thank you very much.
Another important property of a quality house wrap is its ability to perform as a weather-resistant barrier. That means keep out the wind and rain. All exterior finish systems leak, whether it be stone or stucco, brick or siding, water can get in behind. Let me show you a demonstration to show how these can keep out water. I've made a bag out of this house wrap. I'm going to fill it with water. And as you can see, it doesn't leak. But another important property you want in a house wrap is you want it to be as breathable as possible. You want moisture vapor that gets in behind the wall to be able to pass through, but yet still keep water out. Now, one of the major areas of water infiltration in homes is around windows. So let's go take a look and see how to properly flash a window.